T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal.
Everybody, you did one hell of a job. And the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
How about them Cowboys?
Liftoff.
Indeed.
We have a
Dallas
liftoff.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Plug and Play, where I have production value, and it's incredible. As you can see
What
on your
was that?
screen.
What was going on?
What are you talking about? It's production value.
Oh, it said there was like connection problems. I thought we were like something going on.
No,
man.
it's a countdown and then some cowboy audio stuff thrown in there. I didn't create it. Somebody created it and was like, here. And I was like, thanks. And it gives me time to hit the buttons I have to hit after I hit go live so that we can get money, because money is important, which we shouldn't say out loud, but it is. So send in your super chats so that I can send money to Dane and Bryan. Here is Bryan Broaddus at the bottom of your screen. He's too good to type his name in when he joins. And Dane.
Oh no, what'd I do?
And Dane, who insists on going with just Dane.
Is there
Brugler
another
from
one?
The Athletic.
I mean, I know
Did I type my name in, Jeff? Did I mess up?
It doesn't matter. Everybody knows your face.
Yeah.
You're good. Everybody knows your
I like this
face.
hair. Is it like my hair?
I think your hair is looking phenomenal. I'm going to grow mine forever because I've been watching the Last Kingdom, and all the Danish warriors have really long hair. So I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. Thank you to Mazith, who's kicked off the super chat party with a $20 contribution to the cause. Hey, Dane, you done with your the Beast yet? The Beast is the greatest draft preview of all time. All you have to do is be a member of the Athletic and you get it. You about done or what?
Getting there. This is the time of year where it's just
Or you
not.
hate it?
Yeah. Well, I do and I don't. I mean, this is the time of the cycle where I'm just pouring through pro day sheets and looking at defensive ends from Framingham College, and
you don't have people that can do this crap. You don't have a staff
I don't trust people. I'm not good with that. Like,
how old are your kids?
I know. I don't even trust them. No, I need to know. Like, I need to look at these numbers, because if I see, if a guy from a Division II school that I've never heard of runs a 4.3 and he's got a 6.73 cone, then I got to go find him and watch him. I got to figure out, okay, is this guy, actually legit or not? And so that's the part. That's where we are now. Like, obviously, the big name prospects, the guys that are going to go in the first 3 rounds, 4 rounds, those guys are done, written up. The reports are finished. But now it's about finding the non-combine guys, the players that are, looking under it. We're looking under every stone, that type of thing. So it's an exhaustive process that, I make sure there's a reason why people get the Beast every year.
Yeah, Dane's at 76,000 prospects this year. Brian's probably 150. I just went over 100.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have questions about 13th round guys, Dane's got you covered. If you have a question about a top 100 player, we can all help. It's just where it goes.
You know what's really funny, Jeff? What Dane's talking about doing, there's probably 6 or 7 NFL teams that wouldn't do. They wouldn't look up Farmington College and find a guy that ran, they would just draft, and then somebody would look at Dane's book in the war room. I've seen it done before. Like, oh, who is this guy? We don't have a damn tag for him. Oh, someone goes, oh, according to Dane's the Beast, kid ran 4.31, and we do we have a guy there? Nah. So he's doing the work that about 7 NFL teams wouldn't do.
Well, that's my 172nd corner. There will be a 40-yard dash time verified for him. So everything in there will be testing data for every single player in that thing, which I know will be very valuable to a lot of people.
Well, I love the idea that, like, in an NFL building somewhere, certainly not at the Star, but somewhere, there's like a guy who pokes his head into a room where some scouts are, and he's like, hey, you guys heard about this kid from Podunk Southwestern College of East Carolina? And it's like, got him at a 6.73 cone and a 4.31. And whoever's that area scout looks over his shoulder and goes, "I've already done 400 guys. Kiss my ass." we ain't picking him.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Thank you to Dub V in the super chat, and then Kevin Walsh, who kicks it off with our first question of the day. The Cowboys drafted John Mechie, Alabama wide receiver, even though that would make 2 receivers coming off ACL tears. And Dane, is Ed Ingram going to be there for Dallas in the second round if they take a wide receiver in the first? Yeah. I don't believe in planning your team's season around Michael Gallup missing 3 games. If John Mechie's ACL is on schedule, I got no problem picking him in the second round. I'll start there. Men?
I mean, with Mechie, and we're probably talking, you might be able to give him a third. He might go in the second, but you might be able to give him a third. Man, with that type of value, I'd be jumping all over that. I mean, Mechie, it's hard to love Mechie, but it's easy to like him. You know, there's nothing about him that just jumps out and says, "Oh yeah, this guy's a playmaker." But I mean, he's a very sound route runner. He will have a few drops here or there, but for the most part, he's just a dependable player that you know what you're getting week in, week out. So I'm probably not using if I'm the Cowboys, I'm probably not using my second round pick on him, just coming off the ACL and everything. But third round, yeah, I would turn that card in.
Dane, who would you pick then in the second round if you're a wide receiver? If all the top ones are knocked out, who do you got that you would say, man, I'm not going to go for Mechie, but I'm going to go because John Machota with your group with the Athletic in a mock draft picked Mechie at 56. Is there another one that you have in mind there?
Well, Sky Moore? Are we saying he's off the board?
Yeah, he's going to go to Green Bay or Kansas City in the first round, so he'll be off the board. Yeah.
Can I interest you in George Pickens? I think he'll be. I mean, Pickens is,
and maybe I'm a dumbass.
Yeah,
but I'm going to be really surprised if either of those guys is available at 56.
Yeah,
like George Pickens, Sky Moore, like the tape is too good, and I know that Pickens is coming off of an injury, but like I've told Brian this before, if you told me that you're going to take a pinky toe away from me, unless I can name who's going to have the best NFL career out of these receivers, I would need to name 7 names to feel comfortable, and Pickens and Moore are both in the group. So still, I guess you could have 8 or 9 guys off the board and none of them be named Pickens or Moore. So,
but let's do it like that. So, what pick do the Cowboys have in the second round?
56.
56.
Okay, so is it realistic that Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, Drake London, Treylon Burks, Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson, Sky Moore, George Pickens, Christian Watson. So that's 9 receivers. Do we really think all 9 will be off the board in the first 57 picks? Probably not. So of those 9, at least one, there's a decent chance one would be there. And so I think of those 9, any of them would make sense there for 58.
Christian Watson out of that group is the one. Well, I'm lower on Jahan Dotson, I think, than most people, but he would still be in my top 9. Watson's the weird one.
Yeah,
like hyper athletic, vertical player, but raw, coming out of a run first offense. Like, yeah, somebody's going to make him an NFL starter as a rookie, I guess, but I would just be a little bit not as comfortable as I would be with a lot of other guys.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Brian, I don't know what you think, but I'm with Jeff on Watson. I mean, I get the talent. And few players have crushed the pre-draft process like Watson. I mean, his Senior Bowl performance, then at the Combine, and then even his pro day. He was under 7 seconds in the 3-cone at his size, which is just tremendous. So Watson has been awesome. But, yeah, I think that it kind of reminds me – they're different players, but it reminds me of Denzel Mims when, a couple years ago, he had this great pre-draft process and moved up. We're talking about him as, it could go first round. Doesn't go first round. He goes more mid to late second, and he has really done nothing the last 2 years. And I think, it's Mims has his own issues. Watson's a different type of player, but it does remind me there's some similarities there, which is in terms of the buzz and maybe getting cart before the horse with, just where the proper draft value is for a guy like Watson.
I'll tell you the one receiver that you guys mentioned that I'm super excited about is Pickens. I really am. Man, I watch him play, and if you go back and watch him play, 2 years ago, just because you're trying to get an idea, I mean, he is going after these cornerbacks in the SEC that we're all talking about potentially first-round guys. He is, you watch him go against Stingley and making plays on him and stuff, and I'm going, okay, he's one of the best corners in the draft. He's turning the Auburn kid. He's turning all over the place. I'm watching him make plays against these big time corners, and I'm saying, okay, why is nobody talking about this guy? Why? What's the problem here? But I think somebody's going to get a hell of a player drafting him. I think the way he catches, the route running, the way he finishes on plays, run after catch. I mean, he is a mean, nasty player with that ball in his hands. And somebody is going to take him, and whoever takes him, I'm going to go buy their jersey at that team because I love the player that much.
Put it next to your who's the running back for Cincinnati?
Mixon.
Yeah, right next to your Mixon jersey, and a few others that.
Hey, you know how much I love. Hey, you know what? My team got in the Super Bowl last year. That's all I have to know about you. That's all you need to know. My team's in the Super Bowl.
I'm with you on Pickens. I think there is a boomer bust element there with Pickens. I think because he has the talent's there for him to be a number one wide receiver in this league. I think that their potential, the traits, they're there. It's just a matter of getting back to pre-injury form. And, just kind of growing up a little bit, which is no guarantee, we know. So, I'm with you on Pickens. I would not be surprised at all if he went top 40. I think that's a perfectly fine draft landing spot for him in that range.
Well, I'm 58 and I need to grow up. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm okay.
But you're not going to. Other people have hope. Just
to answer the other question about Ed Ingram, I wouldn't be surprised if Ed Ingram doesn't go in the first 3 rounds. I mean, that's possible. I think, I haven't talked to as many people in the league that are in love with him as some other people on the outside, like us. We really like him, but
I'm a big Ed Ingram fan. I have more questions about Zion Johnson than I do Ed Ingram.
Wow.
Crazy.
I see. Ed Ingram, after his combine, that worried me a little bit. I did not think he moved very well. That worries me a little bit, just seeing him up close like that. But I liked his tape. I really did. So, Ed Ingram's a tough one for me.
Maybe, Jeff, this direction, too, and if you can have, since we have Dane on, too, this whole thing with, you got guys like the Weidermeyers, with the Hamilton stuff, with all that. I mean, there are guys, their tape is better than how they're working out and stuff like that. And that's the problem. I think a lot of guys and gals that are evaluating this stuff are trying to figure out, okay, where do these players really fall? The tape is good enough, but then the workouts and things like that are kind of, a little bit shaky.
I guess my theory would be that in real life, the NFL draft is 3 or 4 rounds. You're going to have hits on day 3, but for the most part, they're going to be misses. So I either need a bunch of picks or if you love the tape on a guy and you want to fight for him on day 3, fine. Because most of these guys are going to be misses. But I just Weidermeyer, if you in real life, if that's your real 40 time and your vertical jump is 25 inches, you're not an NFL athlete.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to you'd be like, hey, I had him in the 4th round though. I'd be like, who are your other 4th round tight ends? And you give them to me and I say, all right, well, that guy runs faster, jumps higher. He's an NFL athlete. Can I pick him instead?
Broaddus on tape. Did you think
No.
exactly? That's what worries me more than anything. Is not necessarily the number. Yeah. It's the fact that this guy's not working. He's not.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying.
That should scare the hell out of you.
That's what I'm saying. No, because I'm watching the tape, and Dane. I mean, and this is not a slam at you or a pointing the finger, but I know initially in your top 50, Weidermeyer was in your top 50. Am I right?
In the summer, yeah, he was.
Yeah. So see, I mean, I'm just sitting there thinking okay, I trust Dane as a scout. I'm looking at the guy. I see why Dane would put him in the top 50. I get it. But then you watch and you have all the 5 flat and the vertical and all that, and he's not working, and there's questions about whether he really cares or not. The tape shows that he's a good player. all the other BS tells you that you probably shouldn't draft him.
Is it BS though? I mean, is it like that? I mean, if
no. I just said BS in a way of him
Okay.
being BS.
Bring me
Right.
Jelani Woods or bring me death. Give me a 4'6" that's like a giraffe, except a strong giraffe who likes to run people over.
I like Otten from Washington myself.
I think both those guys are going to go top 100. So yeah. They're good
All
players.
right, you guys are really jamming up my super chat line, so both of you chill out. The people and I don't appreciate it. Thank you, William, for being here. Gido22 wants a 3rd to 5th round offensive line prospect with upside, preferably a bulldozer. Make me pull up my board. Let me see here. What round is Cole Strange going in, Dane? The Chattanooga guy.
3rd, yeah. I don't know. He doesn't really have upside. I think he is what he is, but what he is a really good player. So I mean, I think I'd be all over that. North Carolina's got a guard, Joshua Ezuzu, who could go 3rd, 4th round. Who's not quite a bulldozer, but he's athletic. He's tough. He finishes. And I think his best football is ahead of him. So watch for this North Carolina kid. He's got starting potential. And if I get him 3rd, 4th round, I'm feeling good about that.
Hey, Dane, what did you have with the Schaefer from Georgia? What did you think about him?
I liked him. I have him in the 4th. I think he's a guy that is power based, but he moves fairly well. He's not a slug. So I think that I don't like him as a top 100 pick, but I think once you get to the day 3,
okay.
I think it's fair game because he has there's some tape that you watch and you think, okay, yeah, that could push for a starting job. I mean, he's a guy that's
a bulldozer guy to me. I watch him play. He's 6'4", he's 314. And he's the starting left guard at Georgia. And you watch him play against Michigan and Alabama, and he is knocking people off the ball. I mean, knocking people off the ball. So if you're looking for that kind of a guy, that's why I mentioned Justin Schaefer from Georgia.
Alec Ventura is dropping massive bombs in the super chat. We appreciate that. And he said, he's talking to me, excuse me. Big follow of mine from Massachusetts. I just want to know if Traylon Burks would be a, quote, Lamb or Parsons, considering how much they love receivers and because he's from Arkansas. Where Jerry said, oh, yeah, we're going to take an O-line early. Oh, yeah, unless there's a Lamb or a Parsons. Burks being available at 24, I don't think would be shocking, would it?
No.
I'd call it 50-50.
Yeah. I think with Burks, like part of his evaluation is where do you see him playing? Is he a slot? Do you think he's going to be an X? Like what do you see with Traylon Burks besides it's just a really talented player?
What if my answer is sure?
Isn't that the intrigue about him?
That's great. But if you're drafting a player in the 1st round, you need to have a little bit better of an answer than that, in terms of what's your plan for him. It's not just let's show up to camp and see what happens, and I think that's part of the concern with Burks is you're just not sure. Can he become an X? Maybe. Is he going to be a slot only? Maybe. Is he going to be, do you have to use him as kind of a Deebo Samuel-esque player where put him in the backfield, use him across the formation. So I just think before you draft him, you just have to have an idea of how he fits into your offense. And as long as you do, heck yeah, draft him top 25 and you're getting a good player.
Bobby McKay wants to know, he said all this talk about, and I don't know that there's a lot of talk about this, but I think this is Mike Tannenbaum's fault. He created a Cowboys topic today because he did a mock draft of what he would do as a GM for his team. And Derek Stingley went number 24 to Dallas. So he said all this talk about Stingley being there at 24. If Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green, and a top wide receiver is there, what will Dallas do? I don't want the cornerback. He's always hurt. Love the show.
That's fair, right?
Corner's such a premier position, and Stingley is potentially such a premier player in a premier position that I would probably take him over the guards. But I would acknowledge while doing it that, like, hey guys, I'm more confident in what I'm going to get from either Zion Johnson or Kenyon Green. But if Stingley is what he looked like he was going to be when he was 18, holy crap.
Yeah. First off, those that are waiting on the beast, you can blame Stingley because waiting on his workout on April 6th. That's got to be in there. Yeah, that's a big deal. See how he does. So I'm with you. I think the biggest thing with him is, how much do you question the toughness in terms of being able to stay on the field and fight through injuries and just be a guy you can rely on. Because if you think you can, then heck yeah, that's a steal at 24. But it's a big if. A lot of teams are going to feel differently about Stingley and just where they feel comfortable drafting him.
Nathan Neal, could you see the Cowboys trading for a wide receiver to play the third wide receiver role? Late round pick for Brandon Cooks or someone similar in value, maybe? I do think that's turned into I love day 3 picks, even as the guy who just said that for the most part, it's a 3 to 4 round event. Because if you tell me, hey, I'm going to pick this guy in the 5th round, I'm going to tell you odds are he's not going to be an NFL starter. But if you tell me, hey, I've got 6 picks on day 3, I'd be like, I bet you're going to find 1, maybe 2. So it's sort of an odds thing, but any single day 3 pick for an NFL starter, I think that is a market inefficiency in the NFL still. Flip it immediately. And for the Cowboys, whether it's a wide receiver or for filling left guard before the draft, if there is a team out there that has a version of Robert Quinn that plays left guard, that's 32 years old, last year of a contract, rebuilding team, flip him a 5th round pick and you have a starting left guard. Do it. And I think too many teams don't. And
it's the opposite. It'd be on the opposite end of Amari Cooper. It'd be, you're giving up a day 3 pick for a good player. And, because like you said, there's a reason why the team's ready to unload him. It could be money. It could be age. It could be, whatever. But yeah, we've seen it a lot of times. A lot of smart teams do that. Surprise, the Buccaneers trading for Shaq Mason from the Patriots. That only took a 5th round pick. So, it's there are situations out there where you could find value for sure.
Wet Bandit, appreciate you being in the super chat. You're a beast. T-Cell with the question, what are y'all's thoughts on David Bell, 56 or 88? And this is going to be another Weidermeyer for me, and Brian's going to hate me for it. But if you test slow and you're small at wide receiver, I'm going to put you behind a whole bunch of other names. Like the tape, 3rd or 4th round on tape, and now you are small and slow. Well, you move down.
Hey, let me ask you.
I wouldn't want him at 88.
He was slow on tape, though, I thought. I mean, I don't. Yeah. To me, that was my big hang up with David Bell on tape, and why he was a guy that I never even considered for a top 50 or anything like that, because he's just not an explosive athlete, and
not at all.
But he's a good receiver. He's a good player, and I would bet if you had to tell me it's either does he go day 2 or day 3, I think there's a better chance he goes day 2, even with that 4.71 that he ran yesterday at the pro day. I mean, he was when the 4.6 is 4.65, I think at the combine. Speed's not his thing. That's not how he wins. But I still think he's a good player, and I still think he's going to go somewhere on day 2. So I do think in the 3rd round, he's someone that, is at least probably going to be part of the conversation.
Andrew Cifuentes. If Jackson Smith and Jigba's in this draft class, is he the first receiver off the board? And I don't have an answer for it because I haven't studied him. I just know that he kicked ass at Ohio State last year.
Yeah.
Are you that far ahead of it? Do you stay far enough ahead of it where you're like, oh yeah, I could rank him?
No, but I mean, obviously you can't help when you scout a team like Ohio State, you can't help but, see him quite a bit. And he's awesome. I don't think he'd be the top receiver in this class. At least, not for me. I think he's really good. But I don't think he was the best player or best wide receiver on Ohio State's roster last year. So
stats say he was, Dane.
Cool. That's awesome. Tate told me otherwise. And Jigba's awesome. I mean, and Jigba's the reason that Jamison Williams, packed up his bags and left Columbus. So, I mean, he's a really good player. But it's, I think he'd be in that mix for because I I don't think he's going to run just this crazy time. He's not a big guy. I mean, he basically operates a lot out of the slot, and he just kills the team's defenses over the middle of the field. He's really good. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he'd be a top 10 pick in this draft. So, but who knows? A year from now, after C.J. Stroud and Smith and Jigba just tear it up next year in Columbus, who knows? Maybe we'll feel differently.
Jeffrey Fisher, thank you for being here. James Reeder, heard you guys talking about a draft book you're going to drop. When's that expected to drop? You have to wait until Derek Stingley works out on April 6th. And Dane has every piece of information on every random person that plays at any college.
We're down to a week. So remember, all you need is your Athletic subscription. As long as you're subscribed to the Athletic, and I think we got like $1 a month deal now. So I mean, you can get it for $1. Just
you need to be a better company man and be more sure about what that offer is.
Yeah, you think. Yeah, I don't know.
Vaughn wants to know, what are your thoughts on Cade Mays and Reed Blankenship? I don't know who they are. They sound like kickers.
No, Cade Mays
might be an O-lineman.
He is. Good job. He went to Georgia, transferred to Tennessee. He's tackle guard. I think he's got a little bit of versatility there with what he can do for you. He plays really tall. He's 6'5", and he plays like it. And I don't love his body control to really recover. But I think if you put him in like a power scheme where you can use that physicality, especially in the run game, because I think he's a really strong player. So kick him inside to guard. I think he's probably more of a backup level player, day 3 pick. But he's a draftable player. Blankenship, I was never a big fan. He's got really good resume in terms of ball production. Tested fairly well at Middle Tennessee State's pro day because I just wrote him up the other day. I think he was in the 4.51s. Not bad for a safety. So to me, Blankenship is a PFA, but I wouldn't be shocked if he snuck into the later rounds.
I think Dane's absolutely right about Cade Mays. I was kind of thinking there was going to be something better there. People were kind of talking about him, but I couldn't get over the fact that how many times people knocked him on the ground, and I think Dane's absolutely right. In my notes, I was talking about how straight-legged he is, and it's hard for him to move when he's that straight-legged. And I just didn't think he was a very good athlete. And I thought that, when I saw guys just kind of bullying him, I'm like, why would I want this guy? I was watching the Florida and Mississippi game, and he didn't play well in either one of those games at right tackle there for the Vols. So I wasn't impressed with him as well.
MedVet, we're going to move up the draft board a little bit. He says, explain Drake London. That's the USC receiver. He said he looks like a big guy who goes up and gets the ball but lacks athleticism. He had some Dez-looking traits to me. Drake London for me it's weird because his physical profile is kind of rare in the NFL. Because, to me, did he get to 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", whatever?
He's 6'4", 219.
6'3" and 7/8 is the exact, yeah.
Okay. And, he moves in terms of foot quickness. He moves better than you would expect someone that size. Mm-hmm. He can go up and get the ball. He has surprising quickness for a 6'4" receiver. He's full size. He's a handful after the catch. I could totally see having him as wide receiver 1. It's just something about that profile not looking like I'm used to that makes me a little bit hesitant. So I think for me, he's wide receiver 3 or 4, just because he's different. It's a weird profile.
It is. I mean, there's not a real apples to apples comp in the NFL that I love. I don't, for me at least. I don't know. Do you guys have a good comp that you I heard Mike Evans. He doesn't
look like Mike Evans.
He's not Mike Evans. Mike Evans is a vertical receiver. He's going to win down the field, and he's just not that.
I compared him, and I thought I was watching Adam Thielen play at 6'2", 201 is what I thought. Okay. I thought when you talk about a guy that kind of the ball's always going, look at the number of targets he has in the game. This guy has 13 targets in a game. I mean, they're throwing the ball to him. And I kept thinking, damn, I'm watching Adam Thielen play for the Vikings. They just keep throwing the ball. And he's making spectacular plays. He's not really getting away from anybody. He's going up and getting the ball. he's catching everything. The ball's behind him. I'm thinking this guy's Adam Thielen. The way he plays, I mean, he's just like a bigger version of that. And it's probably not the best comparison, but that's kind of what I was thinking. Because Adam Thielen, if you watch him play for the Vikings, everything is kind of like on the move and down a little bit down the field and inside. And, they don't throw him screens and stuff. I mean, it's all kind of just what it is. And the kid's a hell of a player. I mean, because the quarterback situation at USC, they should have a quarterback that's leading them to national championships.
They do now.
Like they always have a quarterback that they're trying to replace.
They got one now.
Well, maybe they do. And then, we'll
Lincoln's
see.
home.
I mean, but I kind of feel like, though, to me, this kid makes a ton of plays, and there's something to that. I don't think he's wide receiver 1, but I don't think he's too far away from, I think he's in that 2, 3, 4 range for sure.
He's my wide receiver 3. And I think that all the basketball, because, he played basketball at USC, all the basketball cliches with wide receivers, they fit. He plays above the rim. The way he boxes out, like all that stuff, it fits him. Like that's how he plays the game. And he does not lack athleticism. I mean, he is a good athlete, especially at that size. He's another one that is supposed to work out next week. I think he's the 5th and Stingley's the 6th. So those 2 workouts are going to be big just to see these guys, both coming off major injury, see how they move. Could really, hopefully maybe define their scouting reports a little bit more. So, he's a good player.
Gito 22. What first-round player gets a CeeDee Lamb-like reaction from you guys? And Dane, I don't know how you reacted when the Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb, but I know how Brian and I reacted because it lives on the internet, and we were very happy. I'm trying to think, because in my mind, I'm preparing myself for a guard to be picked 24th overall.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there is a name that
I got one for you.
George Karlaftis made it. I think I would be excited. Who you got? Sky Moore, duh. God, come on now.
Sky Moore would be, for you. If they took Dean from Georgia,
I would love that.
I'd be shocked. But I would be happy shocked.
And a lot of people would be like, the small, slow guy? And I'd be like, that one. Watch him play.
I don't know, man. I don't know if they'd take a 5'11" linebacker like that.
They should.
But that would be one of those ones where I would be like, man, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe. But I would say that in a good way. I think that kid's super smart. He's super tough. He makes every single tackle. Everybody talks about him like one of the best interviews at the combine with the teams was this guy. There's a lot to like about this football player. I've kind of eliminated linebacker out of my view now, and if they take Green or Linderbaum, I'd be happy about that one.
That's what I was going to say is Linderbaum. It's just because I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be awesome to see Linderbaum playing next to Zach Martin for the next how many years. Like that'd just be a lot of fun.
Just to see if they play against Jordan Davis, to see if Tyler can get to touch him, if he can reach his chest. Little tiny T-Rex.
Hey, Dane, have you ever seen a player with more deficiencies play as well as he does? Physical deficiency.
Yeah,
he's the Kobe Dean on O-line.
Yeah, I'm sure we could come up with someone like who was that guy out of Pitt a couple years ago? Oh, Aaron Donald. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Jarvis Landry. He probably had like the worst combine ever. Carved out a pretty good career.
4.7s. Linderbaum's just a really good player, but you do see on tape there are, as a run blocker, I mean, he's an ass kicker. But there are times in pass pro where, it comes down to angles and length, and there will just be guys that can reach him before he can reach them, and so it makes it tough because he's a good player, and I don't. People shouldn't be shocked if he's still available in round 2. Put it that way.
What an evil man you are. Kobe Dean and Tyler Linderbaum are going to go home after round 1 and be like, man, we're really good at this sport. I don't know why nobody likes us. And then somebody on day 2 will get a really good player.
Dean's supposed to work out the 13th of April, so we'll see. Hopefully he does. He said it was at the knee, I believe. is why he has not worked out yet. So
he's not going to run slow.
He's not a slow player. No,
he's not going to run slow, and he's not going to have a slow short shuttle, because my notes are full of can run, and as a blitzer, guards and centers are up S Creek, because he's just whoop, and there's nothing you can do about it.
He's just not a tall, long player. I mean, it's more size than anything else with him.
Mance, are the linemen Dallas could get at 24 on par with Martin, Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell? Just joined, so sorry if you already covered this. I'm going to say no, and no. Like Zach Martin was a top 10 player in that draft. He just happened to be a guy that was going to be a guard. Rashawn Slater was my OT1 last year, so ha, world. He's a freaking – Slater would be my OT1 in this draft as well, and Sewell would be OT2. So my short answer would be no. I don't think the guy that you're going to pick at 24 is any of them, nor does he have to be, because that might be 3 all-pros.
Yeah, right. I think it's unrealistic to think you're getting an all-pro there. But with that said, I think Zion Johnson, I think he's one of the best offensive players in this draft. I mean, if you get him at 24, I think you're getting a really good player who
now, Brian, hater.
With Zion Johnson, it's kind of like this is Jermaine Johnson conversation. With Zion, like I run out of reasons why not to like him. I mean, he's athletic. He crushed the combine. Really
sustainer in the draft.
Really, really smart. He's strong. I run out of. I'm looking at my notes. I'm just like, okay, why shouldn't he be a top 25 pick? Why shouldn't he be a top 20 pick? And so I think you're getting a really good player there to get position versatility.
You have him over Green?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Green. I do give the edge to Zion Johnson, and maybe part of that is just seeing him up close and personal at the Senior Bowl, and seeing him kick ass, or just being really and I am guilty of this. When you talk to a player and you're just blown away by he's telling you what the right tackle is supposed to be doing on any given play. He's just such a smart player that that can influence you a little bit, and it might be with me because that's how it is with Trent McDuffie at corner. He's just one of the smartest corners I've ever talked to at this level of their career, and so I'm really high on Trent McDuffie. So maybe that's a little bit of that in there baked in for me with Zion Johnson, but yeah, I think he's the best guard in this draft.
Formula dropping in with a hundo bomb. What a monster in the super chat. He said party at Jeff's and pool fund, because we do have a pool to pay off. Quitting your job while you have a pool payment, not the best idea. And now I have to make a repair because I stepped on the table that's in the pool, because I saw the guys who built the pool stepping on it all the time to step to the next place. But I guess they were stepping in the middle, and I've been very abusive to that table. And the other night when I was standing on it, it went and I was like, uh-oh. So if anybody out there knows like a concrete guy, or if I can just duct tape it, you guys just let me know. Thanks.
Gorilla Glue.
Yeah, Gorilla Flex Seal.
Flex Seal is good.
Yeah. Twisted Luck, appreciate you in the super chat. Tarvis, you guys are wonderful. Wet Bandit, taking a guard in the first round is dumb drafting. Only one first-round guard was on the roster of the Super Bowl team since 2010. Most were 3rd to 7th round picks. Hey, did you know that most players aren't first-round picks? So whatever roster you look at, most of their players that are starters aren't going to be first-round picks. I do think
Nelson's pretty good.
Hey, when you're picking at 24,
Zach Martin's pretty good.
You got to let the board fall to you. You can't, especially when you're picking at 24. I don't think that that might be true if you're picking top 15, like picking a guard that early. But at 24, I don't know. I mean, take the best player. If that's a guard, so be it.
Well, I think that's the balance of the draft. We're like, sure, positional value exists, and it's a real thing. It's why when we're watching the draft, you are going to see corners, wide receivers, offensive tackles, and edges as like 9 of the first 10 picks. It's going to be the valuable positions. But when I get to 24, do I want to take, if he's available, the best guard on my board, or do I want to take the 8th best edge?
Right.
You want the position value? It's a better chance that your position value guy you just picked is going to suck. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think it's part of the conversation, and that's why the top 10 is going to have 4 edge guys in it. And
I like what Anthony said there. That Kentucky center's a day one starter. I think Fortner. I think he's a good player, man. Dane, have you seen much about him?
Oh yeah, no, he's awesome. I mean, he's a top 100 player in my opinion.
Okay.
So
At least I didn't miss that guy.
This center class is
you haven't missed anybody yet, Brian.
Yeah,
you haven't played
exactly.
the league yet. You can't be wrong yet.
This center class is sneaky awesome. I mean, Linderbaum at the top, and then I'm still a big Dylan Parham fan from Memphis. Luke Fortner, Cole Strange, Cam Jurgens from Nebraska. 5 guys right there that should be starters in the league. Zach Tom from Wake Forest is a good player. And there's a few more that are going to be drafted. So this is a sneaky good draft for centers.
Maury's Music, can we package late round picks and take 2 of the top 10 offensive linemen? Thanks for all you guys do. We can easily take one of the 10 top offensive linemen at 24. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll have, I think, at least 4, maybe 5 first round tackles.
How high you want to go?
Yeah.
Where's Penning going to go, Dane?
Top 15.
Yeah, probably. He could go top 7 easily. I still think there's a good chance he goes that high.
Wow.
I think they'll regret it. I shouldn't say that. I don't want to root against anybody. Go get him, Penning. He's just the one guy that I don't think the tape says that, but it's fun to watch him beat the crap out of people. It's a lot of fun. WM Tyler Dallas. Kyle Hamilton in a Mike Nolan defense scares me. Kyle Hamilton in a Dan Quinn defense should scare everyone else. Am I wrong? I think Kyle Hamilton would be great for the Cowboys, but the guy who does what Kyle Hamilton would do for the Cowboys just signed a 2-year deal for $11 million. And people got so mad at me for using that as a comp, where it was like, well, Jaron Kearse was one of the better down safeties in the league this year. And that's going to be Kyle Hamilton's role. Mm-hmm. If you think Kyle Hamilton's going to go cover a slot and play man or be a middle of the field deep safety, I think you're wrong. I think he'll make a lot of plays going forward. And I think his length plays really well in the underneath. And his tackle radius is huge. And there's lots of things to like. But he don't fit here. You already have him.
Now, a lot of teams are going to say that. I don't know. I think there's a disconnect in terms of where people think Kyle Hamilton's going to go and where he's actually going to go.
You think he gets to 24, Dane?
I don't think he lasts that long, but
Derwin James range.
Yeah, and I think the betting is over under like 6 or 8 or something. Like I'd be smashing the over on that all day, just because. I mean, like maybe he could go to the Falcons. I think that's where I put him in my last mock. Just the Falcons, have shown they just want to get better on the roster. That Kyle Hamilton's maybe this year's version of like a Kyle Pitts, where you're not going to take a tight end that early unless it's Kyle Pitts. Well, you're not going to take a safety that early unless it's Kyle Hamilton. But you have to have a plan for Hamilton because, along the lines of what Jeff is saying, he's just a different cat. And I think he can play a little bit deep as more of a because he is so smart and he's got range to him. But yeah, he's at his best when he's working downhill. He can read, he can sort, and he can just go. And I mean, he ran. He ran slower at his pro day, which is weird than the combine. He's not a.
I heard what happened.
Combine was a fast track this year. David Bell ran worse too.
Yep.
I heard what happened to Hamilton about why he ran slow. This is what I was told.
He quit.
He went home after the combine and didn't do anything. He hasn't done anything since the combine.
That's not a good plan.
And took, so it's been what, 3 weeks on the combine now? 2 weeks on the combine?
That'd be really, that surprises me because
that's what I was told, that he went home. Is he from Atlanta, Georgia, maybe?
Yeah, he is.
And he went home and he didn't do anything in the last 3 weeks, is what I was told.
That's a terrible plan.
That's what I was told.
That sounds nothing like him. So that would surprise me. Huh. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. Formula, are you guys going to be on Cowboys draft for all 3 days of the draft like always? I don't know.
I'm not.
Dane's not, but I'm not. I'm out.
Yeah. See ya.
If I were a betting man, I would bet I'm on day 1 of the Cowboys on the Cowboys.com and maybe not day 2 and 3. We'll see. I bet Brian's on.
I'm on day 2 and day 3.
You quit on day 1?
You know the drill, boys, right?
Yeah. Brandon Smith, Penn State linebacker, watching the show, I guess. Do you guys see the Commanders taking Troy Anderson at number 11 since they need a middle linebacker bad? I don't see them taking Troy Anderson at maybe with the 11th pick in the 3rd or 4th round. But actually, he had a great combine. Is there any chance Troy Anderson is like a top 50 or so pick?
Yeah, I could see him going 2nd round. Yeah. I mean, he's a freak athlete, and there's just a lot you think you can do with him. So I think he's somewhere in the top 75. I think so. I think top 50 is not out of the realm of possibility. The Commanders are interesting at 11. They could go in a lot of different directions. I think wide receiver is one that really stands out. Maybe go back to that Ohio State with Wilson or Olave, and just go with that all Ohio State wide receiver depth chart with McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. And it's not exactly what you want to see in the division if you're the Cowboys, but I think the Commanders, they want to get better at receiver, more explosive plays. So they might be doing that at 11.
Carson Wentz is throwing for them. I'm fine.
Yeah, I was going to ask Dan real quick. Do you see him taking a quarterback there? Maybe could they take Willis?
I'd be shocked. I don't think that. I don't think you give up that much draft capital if you're planning on taking a quarterback in the 1st round, anyways. I mean, you stick with Taylor Heineke as your bridge, and they think they can win with
Carson Wentz. I mean, they just picked up Carson Wentz.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. You don't give up that kind of draft capital for Carson Wentz if you're going to use your 1st round pick on a quarterback. So you stick with Taylor or with one of these other Heineke or one of these other guys as your bridge to bring along Pickett or whoever you end up drafting at 11. So I don't think so. I think it's going to be wide receiver. They need a linebacker. So yeah, I think 11 is the spot where we could see that trade. Steelers going from 20 going up to 11 to get a quarterback. Watch for the Saints. I've been keep hearing the Saints as a team that's been trying to get up. Steelers and Saints. Watch those two teams at 11.
What a blessing for the Cowboys that a quarterback who was kind of dead in the water in Philly, and then one of his old coaches was like, I can fix him, and traded a bunch for him. Yeah. And then a year later was like, guys, get him out of here. And another team is going to be like, he's our answer, though. Yeah. We don't need to be looking for a quarterback. That's a blessing. Shout out to Washington. Gito says, give me a Quinn guy any round. Okay.
Define what a Quinn guy is.
Long corner, long defensive lineman, fast, maybe long underneath player.
Well, he worked out our Sam Williams from Ole Miss. I mean, he was part of the Sam Williams. Maybe if you're a Cowboy fan, you're probably thinking, Dane, where do you have Sam Williams on your board? 3rd round?
Yeah, 3rd. He'd be in the 3rd. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas took him at 56. I wouldn't. That wouldn't shock me because I think Quinn has got that kind of influence in that room now. I really do.
There's baggage. There's baggage there. So I think if you're comfortable with the person and the background and everything, then day 2 is probably where he should go. So that's an interesting one with Williams because again, there's baggage there. So it's not a clean evaluation, or I should say it's not a clean projection.
I guess you're not really in the market for a corner too heavily unless it fell in your lap, but I was trying to see if I could find like a Dan Quinn corner, and I was thinking maybe Andrew Booth.
What about the kid from Fayetteville, Joshua Williams?
Yeah. Those Joshua Williams,
6'3". I mean, he's a tall, long corner. So I think he's got some speed. He's probably going to cost you a 3rd round pick. So I think that's someone that could possibly make some sense.
Cobra Casts. Is there any player with top 50 tape you would completely take off your board for physical, off-field, style, or scheme reasons if you were a GM?
Well, what's going to happen with the LSU linebacker, with the spinal surgery and stuff. I mean,
Damone Clark.
Yeah,
he might not get drafted. I mean, that's
what I'm saying. I mean, that might be right there. You're not going to have him for a whole, you're not going to have him for a year, so he might not get drafted at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's It's hard to say because if I have a problem with a player, then he's not in my top 50 to begin with. So it's hard to kind
Well,
of.
and also too that there's a player with Anderson at Georgia that's a
Oh yeah,
really good player. If you watch
Talented guy.
he's a first round pick on talent. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean he's literally waiting at home, waiting to find out if he's going to be charged for rape or not. So
Yeah.
it reminds me a lot of Leo Collins' situation where.
Sure.
Not apples to apples, but kind of similar in terms of you can't really touch Adam Anderson in terms of drafting him until there's some type of resolution to his situation. And so if we don't have that before the draft, he's going undrafted. But then in May, if it finds out he's cleared of any charges, then all of a sudden, there's going to be a lot of teams blowing up his phone saying, hey, come play for us. So yeah, the Adam Anderson situation is something to watch because he would be, if he were, no, and talking to people at the Georgia program, they were kind of caught off guard by this because they say he's a good kid and all that. So I mean, time will tell how that all shakes out. I have no idea how it will. But if say he is, or say there were no issues going on, he would be a top 25 player in this draft. We'd be talking about another Georgia defender in that first round.
With an interior O-line that struggled with power, this is from Preston, is Linderbaum a bad fit for Dallas? Still leaves a massive hole at left guard. I don't think Linderbaum struggles with power, honestly.
No. As long as he can reach you.
When you're talking about his when people might be hearing power, I think what they're hearing is you're actually just talking about pass pro, where a guy is bigger, not butt and quad power, but you can't touch me before I touch you. That can be a problem. You watch Tyler Linderbaum run block. He beats the crap out of people.
He does.
And then he's done with you and he moves on to your teammate on the same play and he's going to kick his ass.
I'll tell you, the guy that plays with some power, again, I mentioned that Kentucky, the Fortner guy, because I watched him play against Georgia and he held his own against those big old guys inside. Yeah. He really, really did. And I mean, you watch those kids play against other centers, and they're just ragdolling guys. But the Kentucky center did a good job of hanging in there. If you want a powerful center.
To the previous question about a player in the top 50 that you wouldn't take, the kid that's going to go top 50, the Tulsa offensive lineman, like he would scare me in the top 50.
Tyler Smith,
right? Because of
just
how raw.
Why would you take him in the top 50? I don't know.
Oh, well, because you're betting on what he's going to look like 3 years from now. It's a projection.
Let somebody else be a hero.
Yeah, Boye Mafe from Minnesota kind of falls in that category a little bit for me too. I think he's a good player, but I mean the price tag for where he's probably going to go, where you'd have to draft him, is just a little high for what I think he's worth. I think he's a good player, but. There's issues in the run game. He wasn't this, the sack artist in college. He didn't dominate the competition like you want to see out of a first round pick. So like Boye Mafe, there's a good chance he goes somewhere in the first round, which is just a little too rich for my blood.
That is going to lead me to a follow-up because I'm looking at my edge guys on my board, and what order do you put these guys in and with how much confidence when you're talking about Ebiketie at Penn State, Benito at OU, Inigbare at South Carolina? I have Logan Hall here as an edge, Mafe, and then Sam Williams. Do you have a definitive order on those, or how many of them are close?
So I'm a big Logan Hall fan, but I really struggle with what to do with him because, he is such a different dude. Like he's so much different than like an Ebiketie in what he offers and like what
he's a giant edge or he's a tiny DT or
and talking to him at the combine, he said he wants to play 3 technique. Like that's his favorite.
I think that's his best. I think most of his best.
That's where I got him. I got him.
Well, I mean that's really all he played in Houston. Yeah. He was a 3 technique. He was a defensive tackle. So. But yeah, I'm a big Ebiketie fan. I mean, I would take him in the first round. At 24, he's someone that we should be talking about more at 24. Even though I think they're going offense at 24, I think Ebiketie is one of the few defensive players that could be in the mix there. Out of Penn State, he's long, he's twitched up. Big fan of Ebiketie, so he'd be at the top of that stack for me. I like Inigbare from South Carolina, but he's not a quick twitch guy. He's big. He's physical. He's going to try to win with power. but just not a great athlete, and that's not ideal for what you usually want at pass rusher. Who are the other guys? Oh, Sam Williams, we kind of touched on with the baggage stuff.
Dane, where did you have Pascal from Kentucky?
Third round. I kind of question about his pass rush, just how much how disruptive he's going to be, but he's a really good run defender. I mean, he's he's going to set the edge. He's going to be a quality pro for you. I'm a fan. Did you like him higher than the third?
No, you had him right. I mean, there were so many plays behind the line of scrimmage that this guy was making. I was kind of thinking, okay, if I wanted to get like, everybody talks about pass rush, but sometimes these teams run the ball. And I kind of felt like that he was a guy a little bit like Golston from Iowa to me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Play the run really well, maybe not be the best pass rusher.
And Benito. He's a good guy to talk about because he is so quick off the ball, and he's got that burst. He can get to the quarterback, but it's almost like the kid last year coming out of Duke, who was kind of a designated pass rusher. I think he went in the fourth round of the Chargers. But where do you draft a guy like that who you have strong concerns with him against the run, and how you're going to use him on the edge? But if you're just asking him to pin his ears back and get after the quarterback, he can certainly do that. So Nick Benito's a tough one in terms of where do you feel comfortable drafting him, and then what's his full-time role going to be for your defense?
Dane, can I ask you one more question too?
Yeah.
Dominic Robinson from Miami, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything? I mean, did you like him at all?
I've got him, I think, right ahead of Pascal. And he's fascinating because he literally has 0 starts to his name.
He's a wide
pass
receiver.
Rusher. Yeah. I mean, he's from my neck of the woods here, in Northeast Ohio. Went to Canton McKinley, where the McDaniels family, that's where they went to school, close by here. And goes to Miami of Ohio as a quarterback. They moved in the receiver and had just very moderate production there. They moved in the pass rusher the last 2 years.
Yeah. And
he was a sub-package guy, came off the bench, wasn't even a starter. But when he was on the field, I mean, he made plays. I mean, he
sure
was,
did. Yeah.
He's a big athlete. He looks like a pass rusher. He doesn't look like a receiver who's trying to make that transition.
Well, he's 6'5", 253.
Yeah, he looks like a pass rusher. Yeah. So, I think he's in that third round mix as well. I have him one spot ahead of Pascal.
Mark is looking for a day 2 offensive tackle that can play guard and then move to tackle in year 2 or 3.
I mean, ideally, that's Tyler Smith.
True.
If you get him in the second round, I think that's right where he should go. You kick him inside to guard, where he doesn't have to cover as much ground, and you feel like that's going to mitigate some of the issues, and then he's ready to go to tackle. It's just he's a tough one to figure out where he's going to go. Guys like that, they usually get pushed up. I mean, we've seen Austin Jackson when he was coming out of USC 2 years ago. He went top 20. Isaiah Wilson, the kid out of Georgia who flamed out really quickly. I mean, he was a first-round pick. So we see these tackles. If you've got talent, you've got upside and ability, these offensive linemen usually don't last very long. So Tyler Smith, there's a good chance he goes top 40. When I think you would love to get him a little bit later, like the Cowboys pick in the second round. I don't know if it's realistic.
007 Daniel Craig is here. Just wanted to say that he loves the show and drop in a super chat. And the final one, unless somebody's trying to sneak one in on me. What spot would you have to trade down to get an extra second round pick? And if you had an extra second, position or player, who would you want to target?
How early in the 2?
If you go to the very end of 1, well,
you probably don't want to trade out of the first round because
right.
That loses your 5th-year option right there.
Yeah. So if I go down to 31 or 32, can I get a pick at the end of the second with it? Does that work? Math?
You're not going to get it. You're not going to get a 2 for that fall. No.
And then I'll hang up on him and call him stupid head.
Maybe if it's for a quarterback, you never know.
Somebody coming from the middle of the second round might do it. That might get it if they have 2 picks. but it's going to have to be somebody coming from the middle of the second round.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. Like if I just had an extra second round pick that I don't know how I got it, then in the Cowboys case, you could talk about getting an offensive lineman, a wide receiver.
See, that's what I was trying to do with Amari Cooper. I was trying to trade Amari Cooper to Jacksonville or one of those places where you could go up. You know, you go from your pick in the second round at what is it, 52, and go up to 30, whatever, 31, 32, whatever is up there. And then that way you use it to get a player earlier than where you were picking.
I'd love to find a way to sneak in an extra Travis Jones pick for my team.
Yeah, there you go. There
That's
you go.
A good player right there. They should double up at UConn. Take Travis Jones early, and then in the 6th round draft Ryan Vandermark, the tackle, as your developmental swing guy. Done.
Oh, Alex snuck one in on us. Could you see Dallas trading up to the top of the second round like they did with Tank Lawrence in 2014 for a wide receiver like Sky Moore? It's a great question because absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. If you tell me that you get into the 40s and then on the TV it goes, oh, Dallas is trading up, and they gave away 2 5ths and the next year's 4th and their second rounder, and they're taking George Pickens or Sky Moore. Let's go.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, guys, I talked to some people down in Jacksonville, and I don't know if this does anything for anybody, but if you want to go get Chase on the defensive end, they're listening down there. So
hey, you guys remember when you wished that they picked him? Not you two, but you people. Right. You guys remember when you wanted to draft him?
Yeah.
Huh?
But I'm just saying.
Well, they probably did. If
you want to go get a veteran defensive end that you kind of liked, they're open for listening. I talked to them about that, so keep that in mind. That's interesting.
If CD Lamb's not on the board, they'd probably take Chase on, right?
Him or
probably.
maybe
Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah. Which it worked out okay then.
Yeah, it's nice to pick a guy 30 spots later that you might have picked.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dane Brugler from the Athletic, Bryan Broaddus from 105.3 The Fan. I'm Ricky Bobby, basically. I just have the word me written on the hood of a car that I drive around. So say bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through.